Oops.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello,
Everybody's so well behaved. Usually y'all start like cutting up right when it's time to go.
Really?
Here we go. Welcome to the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast, episode number 113 with Crystal Landers. You can find us at www.liftheavyrunlong.com, on Twitter and Instagram at liftrunlong. Also, feel free to email me directly at the address wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. If you are not a member of our Facebook group, you should be, because we want you to be there. Search for Lift Heavy Run Long Community and request to join right now. My name is Wilson Horrell. I am one of your hosts. I want to remind you that the Lift Heavy Run Long podcast is censored. If you're watching on Facebook Live, I can't make you any promises, but I do not believe that anybody on here is going to curse. Don't curse. It makes my life easier if you don't, because that way I don't have to go back and correct things.
I'm so good on this podcast, I don't even have to go to church.
Just all the way around.
There's no confession for you.
Yeah, I don't need to confess anything.
Are you
'cause I'm
sure
so
the
good on
church
this.
didn't say we don't want you? Or did they say you don't even need to be? You shouldn't be here, I think is what the
Yeah,
church said.
I think that's closer to the truth.
Lift Heavy Run Long has an app. For $3.99, you can have access to the Lift Heavy Run Long daily conditioning, which is 3 body weight exercises that you can do anywhere in your house, at your job, on your boat, in your yard, at any time. And we also have 4 barbell strength exercises and 4 WODs every week. So there is some form of exercise Monday through Friday, every day, $3.99 a month. For $9.99 a month, you can become a full access member, like our friend Crystal over here, and you can have access to all of the programs that Lift Heavy Run Long has to offer. The goal of Lift Heavy Run Long is to offer fitness to as many people as possible, as inexpensively as possible. So if you know someone who needs fitness and they don't have $3.99 a month, then have them email me at wilson@liftheavyrunlong.com, and they're welcome to use the app free of charge. Valerie Hunt is the trainer on the app. She does an outstanding job. If you're into endurance running, you're probably familiar with her. She's one of the better running coaches in the world, probably. You can find her at runrx.fit.
Yes.
If you have lost all zest for life and have an extensive amount of time on your hands, check out the Daily Dumbbell at dailydumbbell.com. It is the most trusted source for fake news in the fitness industry. Cruise on over there and give it a read, and you will find that your time has been probably wasted.
The
Fastly
articles are
becoming
getting
more
better and better.
popular than the
It's hard to believe, but they're getting funnier and funnier.
You think they are?
I do.
That's great. What a compliment. It's getting more fun and more fun to do. We're figuring it out.
Well, and it helps when CrossFit HQ gives you so much fodder.
When you're paying attention to what's really in the news, it's really an easy thing to do.
Exactly.
Because people are so incredibly, I guess, ignorant, or there's just so many bad decisions made.
I laughed out loud about HQ invading Russia or Poland or whatever that one was.
I missed that one, I guess.
To my right, I have the most beautiful woman in the world, who is also my best friend and favorite person, Dr. Amanda Kimsey Horrell, also known as Jacked and Tan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. You're looking well, as always.
Thank you.
Feeling good?
Yeah, got a short nap in the house before I came out here.
Oh,
yeah.
there you
Kind
go.
of nodded off there. What's new in your world?
Russian?
Peace, love, and schnauzer shirt. You got that?
Yeah, she did it crooked though, so.
All right. Well, you've had all week to come up with something to say that's new.
Well, there you go.
That's
Call her out right here on the podcast.
Way to go, Etsy. I'm not going to say
Tell the
it.
whole world.
And to Amanda's right, we have Lift Heavy Run Long's favorite friend, Crystal Landers,
Hey.
who is probably one of the most supportive people in the community.
I try.
That's
You do
true.
a great job. You really do.
Yep.
It's so much fun to be in the community and really cheer people on and watch them do awesome stuff.
Well, it's probably a lot of fun to come into a community that would be probably pretty intimidating because of what you think of when you think Lift Heavy Run Long. You think of like elite athletes, which it's, all kinds of people. And to come in and not know anybody and have somebody like you that's always like, welcome, 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 that's just really a good thing.
Oh, I just enjoy it. So, and I just try to, give the same welcome that I guess you, maybe one other person did to me. And I just felt so welcome. So I was like, that felt good. Going to do it, to all the new people that come in. And so that's just what I do.
I think it's great. I really do. And it doesn't go unnoticed.
Aw.
Definitely not.
And speaking of someone who will not go unnoticed, we have to Crystal's right, the Reverend Vaughn Ross.
I like to be noticed.
Sexiest reverend in the land.
That's right. That's right.
How are you?
I'm fantastic.
What's new in your world?
Well, I've been writing a little bit more for the website.
Yes, you have.
I have. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about just being part of that community because it's so amazing.
I think writing is so important.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always on people to
I wish I
write.
could write.
You can
It'd
write.
be nice if I could write.
You can write. You
No,
write very
I sound
well.
like a second grader.
You think you sound like a second grader.
Well, that just means that most of the world can actually understand it then instead of talking over their heads.
That's
There we
right.
go.
Well, we went to this was a long weekend and we were at the river with my family and had this thought about writing and like, you always think, well, I've got nothing to say. And my big problem is nobody cares about anything that's going on in my head. But that's just not true. Like, it doesn't matter who you are or what's going on up there. There is somebody that wants to hear about what you have to say, or what you're thinking or what's going on in your life. It's always interesting to hear those kinds of things from people. Why are you laughing?
It's the social media world that we live in, that we're all narcissists now, that we think that other people give a crap about what we think and do. And
Yeah, but
I don't disagree that people care about what you're thinking and what you're doing because you are somebody of note in the community and that kind of thing. So I wasn't trying to take away from that. I'm just thinking that so many people think that.
This is good. This is good because your what you said was normally how my brain works. It's like nobody wants to even know what's going on in here.
Thank you. I took notice that you didn't curse. Go ahead.
However, I was thinking, which is the article I wrote today, was about how do we do this? We have so many people in the community that's like, they're like, oh well, I went and lifted a barbell today, and then I went and ran 5 miles, and then I went and did yoga in the afternoon, and then I went into a step class or a spin class in the evening. Like, they don't know what's like. I love this concept of picking a heavy barbell up off the floor and also running a marathon, but I don't even know where to begin doing these things. People will literally go and just do whatever pops into their head. Like, well, I want to be strong. I'm going to pick that barbell up, or I'm going to run. I'm just going to go run. But really, here's the process for you. We have that thing for you right here. And there's multiple ways you can do it. If you can afford to do a CrossFit gym, perfect. If not, we have an app that you can definitely afford to do that will get the same thing, same results. And also we have the running program. But people don't know how to do those kinds of things, automatically.
They don't know where to begin.
They don't know where to begin. And I've been doing this for 10 years. I didn't know 10 years ago when I walked in, I didn't even know I was going to be able to run a 10K. I didn't even know what that was. I couldn't do a pull-up. I couldn't do anything. So if you look back and sit in that mindset from 10 years ago and go, maybe there is somebody that wants to know something that I've learned over the last 10 years. So
I agree.
that's my answer
definitely agree.
to that.
And to your point about people not caring what you have going on, I don't think that writing is important from that standpoint as much as I need to see what's going on in my head.
Right. No,
And it helps me to get that
I
on
agree.
paper. And there are times where people look at it and they don't care what's going on in my head.
But
and
there's
then other
people-
times there's somebody that connects, and it may be a whole bunch of people that connect to one blog, or it may be that almost nobody reads it, but one person says, man, I hear that. And I get that. And either they can give me advice or they can take something from it. But I think it's very therapeutic to do.
Yeah,
I
for
agree.
sure.
I've been journaling for the last month or so, and it's definitely been helpful. So
I would love to read that.
never.
But
fine, too.
hey, one more thing I want to say about that is I know a lot of like advanced scientific people, right? And so for a long time, I'm
So
like,
nobody
man,
in this room.
no, for a long time, I'm like, well, if I write this thing and so sees it,
Yeah.
I'm going to look like a moron because so and so knows more about everything than I do. But I don't even care about that anymore. You know, like who cares?
Which is part of the process. I think
It is
that's
part
part
of
of
the process, yeah.
part of the creative process, and part of being a writer is learning that it's not really about anybody else.
Right.
My mom was a senior English teacher at one point in time in her life, and my brother graduated in journalism, and I was a dope smoking alcoholic who took 12 years to get out of college. I mean, it's not like I know anything about writing. And I say y'all and ain't and gonna do and fixing. So it was really intimidating to me at first, until I realized that, you know, there's not as many grammar Nazis out there looking at blogs as you might think that they are.
Yeah, and the
story.
more you start getting those people, the better, because that's when you know your stuff is getting out there.
That's right.
You know, so
Well, and if that's all they can find wrong with what you did, then you're still doing a pretty good job at writing. If it's
Right.
just grammar issues and it's not topic or information that you're imparting or whatever that's incorrect, then I would say the blog is still of value.
I like the writing because I think you're both relatable. Like your writing lately, especially just your updates. I love them because I feel like I'm somehow going through the same kind of stuff.
oh yeah,
And
cool.
in your articles all the time, I'm relating to it too. It's like, I know I commented one time, like, "Are you in my head?" Like,
How scary is that?
yeah.
Yeah,
But-
it was crazy how many when Wilson was doing the regular, like the everyday blog posts or whatever. Some of those were just like way too relatable, scary relatable. So it's good.
Well, speaking of good, we have the best looking cameraman in the business, Brian Swanson, who is sitting behind the camera. You can't look at him. He's so good looking that our technology isn't even good enough to pick up on
I
it.
want to make sure everybody will pay attention to everybody else in the room.
How are you, Mr. Swanson?
I am good. God has chosen to let me wake up again another day and live another day. So
We
trying to
take
make the
that
best
for
of it.
granted, don't we?
I'm trying to make the best of it.
What's new in your world?
What is new in my world? I tentatively committed to running a half Ironman and completing a half Ironman in 2019.
No, I didn't know that.
Well, it's new.
Well,
That's why you didn't know
congratulations.
it. I need to get through running season, which we'll call Sillamore the end of, before I really commit to the training. But
Oh, you got to train for this.
for a half Ironman, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The goal is to hit Augusta half Ironman in September of 2019.
And you're going to get a plan. You're going to stick with it.
That is generally the way I like to do things. A half Ironman is not like.
I didn't know that you did things like that. I didn't know how well you stick to plans or not.
Well, and see, that's why I'm waiting until the end of running season, because I want to see how well my training stays on track and making sure that the runs go good and that I don't feel like crap after 4 days of running at Disney and running a 50 miler and running for 24 hours straight and all the other stupid stuff we're going to do between now and then. If I don't just feel horribly bad after any of those things, then I'll commit to 3-sport training. I'll get back in the pool, start swimming again, get back on the bike. I mean, obviously I'll have the running part down, but I still need to continue training to run. That's the one thing I think I did wrong the last time I trained for a half Ironman is I just assumed running would always be there for me, and then that was probably the worst part of the day at the race itself. So
Are you going to ask me to be your coach?
I would love for you to be my coach.
Because I will. And I'll write your programming, and I'll do your nutrition for almost nothing.
I want you to do my nutrition.
Can we talk about your picture at that race that you were.
We talked about it last week, and that was so much fun. I loved posting that in the LHRL community and the comments we got and stuff. So
If that wasn't a peek into the internet where you say, "Do I look freakishly tall in this picture?" You've been photoshopped to be.
About that last week.
well, we didn't
So
talk about
funny.
because he hadn't done the Photoshop version yet, but we talked
Right.
about the original version last week on the show. But anyways, go ahead.
Well,
my
but
God, this is
you
hilarious.
were like probably proportionately 8'6" inches.
Not a terrible Photoshop job, by the way.
Just bad enough to be obvious that it's Photoshop and funny. But then somebody says, "Which one are you?"
I think that was sarcasm. I'm hoping that was sarcasm. No, that was it was
just
fun.
kills me. It kills me. I love it.
There were a couple people that couldn't tell that it was photoshopped, and that I had to laugh about because, I mean, I would have been like literally 8 foot tall and a giant.
At least looks like that guy in Big Fish. All right, 3 things right quick.
We have a review.
We do have one of those, but you're not supposed to know that.
Sorry.
You're supposed to stay off of
Sorry.
that.
My fault.
He is
Cheater.
not.
Peeked earlier.
Cheater.
I peeked earlier.
Boo.
I'm going to delete this review. I'm not going to read it.
Holy crap, it's a long one.
It has my name
it's a
in it
long
so
one.
many times. I couldn't avoid it.
Oh my
I'm going to bleep out your name. Every time I say it, I'm going
You should just say your name. Everywhere they wrote his name, you should say your name.
Just
instead.
replace it with Wilson.
or just Larry. Just put some other guy's name in there. All right, we got the Chris Hope Foundation 5K and 10K October 6th. Join Team LHRL. You can do the virtual race or you can come out and run it with us. You can also get on the LHRL app free of charge and join the Chris Hope 5K and 10K program and do it with everybody else.
And he's watching, so hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
And that is a virtual race as well. So I could sign up for that race and run it wherever I may be.
Crystal, are you coming in town for that race, or are you running it virtually?
Virtually. I'm actually running a 15K that same day. So
Oh, nice. Just gonna work it out.
2 in 1.
There you
There
go.
you go.
That's awesome.
Well, are you going to take part of your 15K and count that as your virtual? So that would be the way to do that, huh? All right. See how smart I am? I'm always thinking. Big Hill Pond, Walking Tall, October 20th,
Very
25K, 50K.
Very excited for that race.
That thing is not getting any smaller. You better get in it. Is everybody registered?
Vaughn is still shaking his head no.
I'm
For
not
those at home
registered,
that
but I
can't
got
hear
my
the
tent
rattle.
ready. I'm going to be there.
Okay.
It's so funny. So literally within 2 to 3 hours of each other, Vaughn posts something about having his tent set up in his yard to make sure that he's got all the parts for it. And Dawn sends me a picture of her tent set up in her yard. I'm like, what is it with people over there, and what's your community
She
called?
lives in my neighborhood, just like right
They
around
both set
the
up
corner.
tents like within hours of each other.
I was like,
and
hey, I
posted
saw the
about them.
picture. I was like, I just did the same thing. That's weird.
Are you signed up for Stanky Creek?
I'm not.
Are you going to do Stanky Creek?
It doesn't look like it. I'm going to be there. I'll be there giving out tailwind in our tent.
The first appearance of the tent that we've owned for like 18 months now.
Hopefully the tent will be there.
Brian's going to
Yeah.
take it. It won't fit in my car because Brian got the super deluxe, extra large, 400-pound LHRL tent.
Well, I can help.
I had to
with
get a
that.
permit to open it.
Well, and that's
I'll
an
be there.
advantage.
So helicopters wouldn't land on
So
it.
I want to give you like a little tip here. It might be good that he's not running these races because then we have somebody to take the tent
Take it down.
I will gladly do that.
Okay.
I will
If
bring
I'm
the
off work, I
tents.
can help
I'll-
give tailwind out.
I will set tents up and bring them down. I'll have tailwind there.
I'm
with
excited
me.
about having tailwind.
Whatever anybody needs me to do, I'm there. I will help.
But speaking of Stanky Creek, I went and ran out there with Dawn and Petey last weekend, and the race director was out there. He was out. He apparently had been out there like 4 or 5 days in a row, ran the course every single day, and just kind of cool to see him. He's kind of a big deal. He's literally run across America on trails.
What's his name?
Mike Samuelson.
Uh-huh. I contacted him about being on the podcast.
And he said, I don't do podcasts.
I can't remember what he said. I don't know.
Some people just don't want to be on the
Yeah,
Yeah.
school.
he may
Some
have been
people
busy
don't want to
at
be
that time.
famous.
That's right. Carol's Memorial Wad, October 13th
Where's that?
at Olive Branch CrossFit.
All right.
I'm excited about that. We're going to have pretty awesome shirts for sale. raising money for Medivivor organization because currently there's only about 4% of breast cancer research goes towards metastatic breast cancer, and so Medivivors donates every single cent of money that's donated to them towards stage 4 research. So
October 13th at Vaughn Rawls CrossFit.
.com.
we're going to need to register that before the night's over.
I don't know if y'all are ready for this review.
I am.
You're ready.
It talks about Wilson a lot, so let's.
How many
Sure
stars?
does. It's 5 of them, and it says great show with the exclamation point beside it.
Just one?
Just one, but that's because there's so many stars. There wasn't enough room to put any more exclamation points. I was first introduced to this group on Facebook by my CrossFit coach and quickly became very interested in the community, seeing all the workouts and race members share or random topics that end up in discussion. Shortly after joining the group, I discovered the documentary the show hosts produced, chronicling their experience at Tunnel Hill 50 and 100 miler. It was this movie that sparked my obsession with trail running and ultra marathons. Later on, Vaughn posted a video of Ouachita 50 held each April near Little Rock, Arkansas. I commented that it looked awesome and he suggested I run the race. 2 weeks later, I found myself at the starting line of this race, standing next to Wilson Horrell and his wife Amanda. I met Vaughn as we made our way over Mount Pinnacle. That was my second 50K, and it was brutal, but a great time on a beautiful course. In the past month, I've ran into Brian Swanson and Vaughn in races around Memphis, and it's always a strange experience seeing these guys out. It's part like seeing an old friend because we have interacted on posts often in the group, but also part like seeing a celebrity because of the documentary and podcast. Overall, these guys put together an awesome podcast with interesting guests or just the hosts. Either way, you will be entertained and laughed. Also, the Lift Heavy Run Long community is one of my only places on Facebook that is purely positive and troll-free. The group is very supporting and inspiring.
That's TJ.
That's TJ.
Yeah.
Good call. Yep.
Yeah, I talked to him for the first time in the middle of a race. He came running up beside me. I knew who he was, or I think I had been introduced to him one time before that.
He's a hell of a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a really
Yeah.
nice guy, though.
He is
And he's
really
actually in the picture where I'm freakishly tall.
Yeah,
is.
he is.
Yeah.
He was there that day.
Okay. Well, he sent me Willie Roberson. Do y'all know
Okay,
Willie
I know that
Roberson?
name.
That's his cousin. And so I told him to put the screws towards him to get him on the podcast.
Is he a wrestler?
No, he's a ultra runner.
Oh, okay.
But he ran
It does sound like a wrestler's name.
two 100-mile races in the same month. Maybe
What?
maybe a 200-mile race and a 100-mile race in the same month.
That's crazy.
That's cray
Yeah, I
cray.
think he's pretty.
That's legit.
Hey, I bought biker pants today. I bought some spandex.
With a big old pad in your butt.
And I need not those.
See?
I really I'm more interested in what they're called.
Speedos.
Amanda said that compression shorts are what they call biker pants, which they used to call spandex.
So you
Like
say
bike
biker
shorts.
pants, and I'm thinking
Speedos.
like buttless chaps.
So,
motorcycle
remember back
pants.
in the 80s, the bike shorts that were the spandex
Like,
bike shorts that
They're
were real
wearing
popular?
biker shorts.
They're
like,
called
like-
Speedos. It's a Speedo.
no, speedos are those things.
Banana hammocks.
Not those. Not,
what you think of when
not
you think of
banana
Speedo?
hammocks. I'm talking about spandex.
Does it have padding in the
Compression
buttocks
shorts.
area?
No.
Then
Then they're not
compression
cycling
shorts.
shorts.
Thank
They're
you.
compression shorts.
Cycling shorts.
They
have-
used to be called biker shorts is the point that I'm trying to
Bike
make, but
shorts.
nobody's paying attention
Not biker.
to.
They're
Biker
called bike
shorts have
shorts.
padding in the buttocks.
I realize that they do now, but back in the 80s, it used to be biker
Back when you
shorts.
cycled the last time?
It was called bike shorts.
back when NWA was rapping about it.
It's not biker, it's bike shorts back in the 80s.
Huh?
It wasn't biker,
Biker shorts are like
bike
for Hell's
shorts.
Angels.
That's what I'm
motorcycle
saying.
club.
I'm thinking like leather, when you say biker shorts, I'm thinking like leather
like
gear.
a guy riding on a motorcycle with a beer in one
we
hand
ruining
and
this
a
for you?
gun in the other. And
Are we
big
taking
long
all the
beard.
joy out of this for you?
So everybody agrees it's compression shorts, right?
Compression
It's
shorts.
compression
I
shorts
agree.
now.
I agree.
At least that's what they're sending me. All right.
So
Did you get some?
I
you
did.
ordered some?
Get some. Got some. They're coming my way. I'll
Because
show
you're
them to
going
you.
to be doing more cycling?
No, because I need some undershorts for when I run so I don't catch on fire. From
Then you
chain.
definitely ordered compression shorts. These are not cycling shorts.
I ordered bike shorts for when I run.
I'm telling you,
Biker shorts. So I need shorts for when I run.
cut the cameras
so
off.
I Googled
We're wrapping
biker
this up.
shorts. I thought I would just put the biker shorts.
I'm telling you,
on.
biker shorts are the same thing. Compression shorts are the same thing that biker shorts were in the 1980s.
Oh, God.
Are we clear
I
on that?
don't believe
We're
it.
clear.
All right, we're going to talk about our guest.
We are.
And my friend.
We're 28 minutes in. It's time to
So
switch.
we've done good. We've done good.
Sorry about that.
My friend Crystal Landers is sitting over here, and you and I connect on a lot of levels. We're both in recovery together. You recently celebrated 8 years, and you are coming up on 9 years in
Yes.
November.
Yep.
Congratulations.
And we were all
Awesome.
discussing how we have our nervous tendencies. I pick at my calluses. Vaughn, you pick at your hands. And Crystal, when she gets nervous, she takes her recovery coin and rubs on it.
Nice. Let me see.
So tell me about how that came about, how you went from your life before and got found fitness.
Well, I'll start with I went to prison, and that was kind of my well, I hit rock bottom before prison, but that was kind of my fresh start. I realized that I didn't ever want to come back here again. It sucked so bad.
Wow.
And so from then on, I found this willingness to go to any length to not go back to that before I even realized what that was. So, but it was in prison. I did some kind of aerobics step class or something. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. I'd never done any kind of group fitness, anything. And I was like, yeah, I was already like aspiring to be a fitness instructor or something like that. But we only got rec like once a week because I was in the treatment part of prison. So it was Department of Corrections and their behavior modification program treatment. And I did 120 days and got out. And I found a meeting the next day I was out and just really threw myself into that community and, going to meetings all the time. And, we would go
This
to
is in the free world, not prison.
the free world.
Well,
yeah.
did you know before you left, I need to go to a meeting? Like,
Yeah.
How did that, does that work?
There was a girl in there who would talk about going to meetings and having a sponsor, and she would get letters because whenever you get letters in prison, it's like Christmas, just getting mail. And she would get mail and pictures and, people telling them about, conventions and all the fellowship barbecue and stuff like that, and just all the fun that they were having. And I was like, well, that sounds like a lot of fun. My friends were writing me about their blackouts, and I was like, I don't want to go back to that. And how do I get a part of that? And so I would ask her questions. We'd go out and smoke break line and like, tell me about, this and working steps. And, I just became a nerd about it already. And I didn't know anything about it. I just know I didn't want to go back to that old life. So that's really the willingness that I had to have really to succeed in recovery, anything. So
You got to go full psycho into it.
yeah. I mean,
Well,
Half
do you
measures
guys
availed us nothing.
Go
Yeah.
not full psycho into anything?
Well, we're either
mean, it's all or
not going
nothing.
into it or
It's-
we're going full psycho
yeah,
into
all
it.
or nothing. So that's what I did. I mean, I went all or nothing. And so a little backstory, my husband was also in prison at the same time, but he was serving a lot more time than I was. So my daughter, who was 3 at the time whenever I went to prison, was staying with my sister-in-law. And whenever I got out, I was just like gung-ho about being a good mom. And, I'm going to take her and do everything I want with her. And so she would go to all the meetings with me and do that whole thing. And
Oh,
I
wow.
mean, she was very supportive of me. And, she was my mini-me from then. And
How old was she when she was doing that?
3.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. And it's, and then I had my older son who was at the time in the custody of his father. And so I was trying to travel 3 hours away to see him at the same time and kind of making those living amends with him. And yeah, it was quite the adventure, but one step at a time, I kind of figured out how to do it. But a lot of, those dinner before the meetings and, coffee and pie after the meetings, slowly started to pack the pounds on. And so
I was going to ask you about that.
that's where it went. And we were eating out. I was going to a meeting every day, so why not go out to eat every day? And so that's what I was doing. And and a friend of mine who was, I don't know, trying to get some deal at a gym was, refer 3 friends and you'll get something free. Referred my name, and I was like, oh, whatever. So I just kind of showed up at the gym, and it was just so happened that sales guy was also a guy that I would see in the meetings. So I was like, oh, hey, you doing this too? And it's like, so I just like, I signed up. So that was kind of where I started, and I found my new addiction.
Yeah.
So.
You can tell when somebody's getting sober when they fatten up. Whenever you see somebody
Yeah.
and they're plumping up, you're like, they're doing
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
They're doing
yeah.
good. I mean, you just
They're
can't
doing the
avoid
deal.
it.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I was thinking, you mentioned nerding out about that whole thing, and it's an easy thing to nerd out about. Like, I spend a lot of time on Reddit, and I read the AA Reddits, the recovery Reddits, because it's fascinating.
It is.
To not only see the awesome recovery of people, but just to see how bad some people really
Yeah.
get.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking, I was reading a story the other day, and I was thinking about Wilson. I was like, this is why you guys go to fitness, because you mentioned, like, I eat dinner every day, go to a meeting, then I have pie and coffee
Yeah.
after. I was thinking, well, how do you occupy your time? Because I imagine what's going on in your head is, I just want to drink or whatever it is all the time. So if you have a 4:00 CrossFit class at the end of the day, how do you make it to that thing? So imagine you have to do a million other things before that 4:00 meeting gets there, or whatever it is.
Well, thankfully I had a job, so I was working till 5, and then I would go to a 5:30 meeting, and then it was the whole night of fellowship after that, and that did help. But there was days whenever I was not a productive member of society before prison, so I didn't have a job. I didn't know how to work well with others, so I was just calling my sponsor, like, on my break, on my lunch break, on my smoke breaks. Can't get through. I can't make it through this day. I can't make it. I'm gonna kill this lady. I'm gonna put my fist in her throat, and she would just like walk me down from the ledge. It's just like 1 hour at a time there at the beginning, definitely. And then I just, I had to make it to my meeting, and slowly the relief came, and, the miracle started to happen.
Isn't it funny how when you start to sober up and you get a sponsor and you start going through the steps, how you realize that you need a fundamentals class to go through life?
Yes.
Like you haven't done the things that you think you have. I mean, you think you've been through, but you learn to like fold your laundry.
That's
and
where
make
I
your
learned
bed
to grow up.
Yeah.
I grew up right there in the rooms with my sponsor. She basically, would give me like adulting lessons 101. Like, this is how you do a budget. This is how we grocery shop. It's like, oh, okay. And I mean, every little thing I would remember, like, documenting, oh, this is my first sober trip to Walmart. I mean, that's just stuff I wasn't doing sober. And, I remember my first apartment, my first sober car. My husband still drives it. And, my first sober everything. I'd go floating for the first time, completely sober. And that was, fun experience. I learned to kayak, and so the whole fitness thing, completely sober, was exhilarating. And so especially whenever I started going to boxing and stuff like that, I was just trying to deal with resentments at that time. So I was going through my 4-step stuff, and I was just like, I need to punch something. I just need to punch something. And so that's
Did you consciously say that before you went to boxing? Was that I
Yeah.
need to go just beat
Yeah.
something to death?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I got through my resentment and through, my steps and punching things. So, and it was amazing how those things just kind of work themselves out whenever I could get my frustration out, and I love to lay it all out on the floor at the gym, whenever I'm able to do that.
And where did the boxing take you? What is your favorite sport now? You listed yourself as the world's okest athlete,
Yes.
and I like that
Yeah.
because I'm somewhere
Yeah.
along those lines.
Well, the boxing, I just was taking some classes, and then I just made some friends in those classes, and they would take me to other boxing classes, and and they would do some sparring, and then I did a lot of that, and I just liked the workout. I didn't really go into the whole fighting scene because I realized as much as I like punching things, I don't like getting punched. Big difference.
There is a big.
Did you just snort over there, Swanson? I was wondering why you had your face in your hand.
So, didn't do that. But, I mean, I really liked it. And, I wasn't a complete, a beast, but I mean, I was decent at it. So, and I had some skill. And so we got a title boxing gym, opened in Springfield. And whenever they were in the new buildings phases of it, I went in there and applied for a job, and I worked as a trainer at title boxing. So
Oh, cool.
that was so fun. And what they called it, doing my class was like the power of crystal. Come and experience the power of crystal.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I put a beating on him. It was a lot of fun. So
How important is community alongside your fitness?
it is. It is. I mean, I've found so many different communities and so many different fitness levels. I have a community around the boxing. I have a community around the CrossFit. There's powerlifting community. There's the running community, and just the different gyms I've dabbled in. There's community, and it's really cool. I mean, Springfield's not huge, but or not little either, and it's cool to see those communities intertwine and see how people come together, and just knowing I have this support, like especially with the health scare my daughter put us through this last week, just seeing people come together, and especially like with my church community, that was, a big level of support. That it's like I have all these different things of community. And I remember whenever I went into CrossFit and they were talking all about the community, and I was like, well, I've already got the recovery community. What am I going to do with another one? And I mean, little did I know that, one competition I would meet other athletes, and I go to another competition, I meet other athletes, and then I could go to different gyms and meet other athletes. And it was really cool how, we can all become like one-minded community, and how we relate on so many different levels, and how, I mean, especially like CrossFit and just that integrity part of it really intertwined with my recovery integrity, because it's like to thine own self be true, your own reps count, and you can't give yourself too many reps.
To thine own self be true.
Yes.
I would not be caught dead giving myself a rep that wasn't legit. Mm-hmm. Like there's people that
Yeah.
cheat on their reps, and there's people that don't, and there's people that might in some circumstances, and those people are always those people. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that when you know somebody that won't cheat on their reps, they'll never cheat on their reps.
Yeah. So
I say all the time that I think that recovery goes great in tandem with fitness,
it does.
because recovery in itself is not recovery. You can't go to 12-step meetings and just live inside 12-step meetings. You can spend a whole lot of time there, and you might need a whole lot of time there. But if you don't throw something else in there, it's not really recovery, because you need to be outside of that, working your program. And fitness is a great way to do that, and to let out the excess energy and also to be around people. Even as I'm so extroverted, but at the end of the day, if left to my own devices, I just want to go home. I don't want to be around people.
Right.
And if I do that, then that just takes me to depression. And I know that that's not the best thing for me, but it's the first thing that I want to do. But I have a place that I have to go. I like to go. And every time I go there, I'm energized enough and confident enough to be able to go somewhere else. So it just feeds on itself. Because as you know, we're so quick to,
Yeah.
we can be great one day and 2 weeks later, we're in the tank.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. It's no matter how much I don't think I want to go or how much I don't want to go or, it's just another day. It's how amazing I feel after I've been, whether it's CrossFit or a meeting or, one-on-one talking over coffee. I just need that fellowship because I'm an introvert and left to my own devices, I'm going to, just stay away from everybody. And it takes a lot of effort sometimes just to pick up a phone and text. And as much as I know that's like the first thing they teach you, sometimes it's still the last thing I remember. So, yeah.
I have to ask you, when you went to jail, before you went to jail, did you have any time to get sober, or did you have to go straight from, were you drugs and alcohol or just alcohol?
Drugs and alcohol.
So did you have to
I
go
drank.
through withdrawal in jail?
Yeah, I drank all the night before, smoking my pipe on the way too.
Oh, wow. So you had to go through all that experience
Yeah,
behind bars.
yeah. It sucked, but I mean, at the same time, I don't know where I ever got it, but I always had this comparison of I know what I'm grateful for, and I would look at the people who was coming off of heroin, thinking I'm so glad I'm not them, because they were having a tough time.
That was what was going through my head,
Yeah.
opiate withdrawal or
No,
heroin withdrawal.
my withdrawals wasn't that bad. It was just jonesing for a really long time and just being tired for a really long time. And that's the thing about, like, whenever you go to prison and RNO, which is reception and orientation, the first 30 days, where they're kind of figuring you out, they won't let you lay on the bed, no naps, no nothing like that. You got to make your bed. You got to make it. It's like kind of like an army setting. You march to the chow hall and you march back in a single file line. You set up for count and stuff like that. And so it was pretty miserable to detox with. So, I mean, there was no relaxing. It was just like, God, is this day ever going to be
Oh,
over?
my
I mean, it
gosh.
was like, yeah, the days crept by. Yeah.
And just being so tired.
Yeah.
I think that sometimes being fatigued and that tired is the only thing that gives you time to not drink and drug.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that if I wasn't as chronically fatigued as I was for probably 18 months, at least a year.
Wow, that's a long time.
It was a lot, and it just seemed, and I'm constantly asking myself, like, when is this going to stop? Like, I can't get out of bed. I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And it's just not getting any better. And then you look back on it and you're like, good thing every time I ever had energy, the first thing I did was get high and drunk.
Yeah. Yeah.
The last thing that I needed was motivation to do anything. Because the only thing first thing I'm motivated to do is like, yeah, let's go to work, but let's get high and drunk and go to work.
Well, is that a chemical thing, being tired for so long like that?
I
Like
think
18
so.
months, or was that a mental thing? Or
Well, you've I've took so many opiates that exhausts.
Yeah, you're messing with your serotonin and dopamine receptors and all that stuff, and you just blow them out of the
so you
water.
just kind of shut down.
Yeah.
And then a
You
ton
get-
of
They
amphetamines,
have
and
to
when you come
reset.
off those things, you're dead forever. And then,
that's-
from what I understand, the benzos, the Valium, hangs around as long as anything else does.
Yeah. And a lot of people reach that point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah, I can imagine. You said 18 months. That's
Yeah.
a long time.
I was so grateful that, I mean, as horrible as it was, I was actually grateful that I was sitting in prison because I was like, there's no way I would have sobered up on my own ever. Like, whenever I got out and I was in meetings and people, would you pick up a white chip and just be in their first week, I'm like, how are you doing this? Like, I can't imagine, because whenever I got to the rooms, I was 4 months sober. And it was like, that period had already been done for me because they just took my drugs and alcohol away.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
but I mean, I just think it's amazing that people actually sober up on their own, or even doing a 28-day treatment or detox or anything like that. I'm just like, I'm so grateful that I had to go where I had to go.
Well, you hear that a lot too. Like you don't necessarily, you're not going to get anything out of treatment that you can't get out of your house other than a $50,000 bill that you don't have to
Right.
pay. But some of us need to be locked up behind a big magnetic door
Yeah.
to make it that amount
Yeah.
of time.
So
Exactly.
you said 120 day, 130 days you were in
Sure.
there. So you, even after that long period of time, you knew that I had to go. You had to go straight to a meeting. Or,
Oh, 130 days, you're not even out of the, I mean, you're still constantly just, that's all I want to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I went there because they told me that the success rate was going to be so much higher for someone to, be in recovery longer. So I was just like, well, I'll just try to do that. And it did. It was a community of people that, that girl that was talking about it in prison, I quickly discovered what going to conventions like and, knowing so many people and volunteering at things and just meeting just amazing people and hearing their stories and just being like, wow. I mean, and then at the same time, I get to see people die and then how real that is. And, I've had very close friends die. I've had sponsees die. And that part makes me remember what I don't ever want to go back to. So, yeah, the living and the dying of.
And it's a lot of them. And it's a lot of people going
It
back
is.
out. And it says somewhere in some of our literature, in order to convince people that this is a terminal disease, somebody has to die. And there's a lot of people doing it.
Yeah.
When you came out of prison, was there any time did you take any time off fitness or did you just jump right into it?
After prison, no, it was probably 4 or 5 months before I joined the gym. So I was busy getting fat.
Yeah. There's a lot of time to do that
Yeah.
too.
it's fun.
It is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
And it
didn't
happens
know.
fast. You don't necessarily need 4 to 5 months. You can do it in a week.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I didn't know anything about nutrition, so I didn't know eating this kinds of foods was, I was just naive.
Were you scared to go into the gym?
I don't remember being scared. I remember just hiring a trainer and being like, all right, I'm here. And he kind of took the nerves away because I was like, I've got my little person here and, I'm not going to look like a fool because he's going to be showing me what to do. And he did. And slowly discovered that I'm halfway strong at stuff. And that was pretty cool to see just those results and then my body changing and those results. And it was just that part was fun.
Was
So,
it different telling yourself, I'm good at something? Like I'm pretty strong.
I don't think I told myself that for a really long time, but actually I never really added up my weights until I went to CrossFit. It's like I don't even know what I'm lifting until, I'm loading my own bar. So, and that's really whenever I started to notice. Like I remember after he had to quit me and I went to the gym on my own for a while and I was like doing some bench press. I guess I'll just throw some 25s on and
that
see what.
sucks.
Yeah, and I just I guess I'm just gonna do 10 here, and I was like, "Whew, this is hard." But I did
the
it.
first time I ever walked into a big Globo gym, like a DAC or whatever, because I started in a CrossFit gym, and I walked in there, I had no clue what I was going to do. I was like, I guess I'll swing this kettlebell a couple of times and then go home. I don't know what I'm going to do in here. So, yeah, that's crazy.
But we've also talked about the benefit of not knowing what you're doing and how Vaughn was saying he had no clue and knew he had no clue. So he got a coach and just, he didn't know any better than to do what the coach said. Probably the worst thing you can do is think that you know a little bit. So you just blow off the coaches. And I think there's a benefit to just coming in completely ignorant and saying, just tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the you know, you're like, well, this guy is telling me, he just says this is all I need to do today, but he doesn't know that I need to go and run 5 miles later on today. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so
I can remember going to my church gym, and my old church gym from like 20 years. I hadn't been to the church in probably 18 years. And I wouldn't show y'all some of the things that I did in that little fitness room, just not knowing what I was doing, but trying to like, this would make sense to do this. If somebody had a video camera, I would be all over YouTube.
Sunday, let's go back in there and you can show me what
I
you're
wouldn't
doing.
show you. I'm that embarrassed. You know, most things, I'm pretty open and willing to share my, you know, embarrassing stories. I wouldn't show you. That's how bad it is.
okay, now I want to know.
You're on your way from here. Of course, you came in town to do the podcast.
Which is
Which is
incredibly awesome.
Number one.
Incredibly awesome.
Thank you
5
so
hours.
much.
And then you thought, well, since I'm going to a podcast, I might as well sign up for the Highland Games.
Right.
In that order.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, tell
Yeah.
us about the Highland
So you
Games.
got the Highland Games this weekend. Tell us about that.
Yeah, Highland Games. All the Highland Games that I've competed in is made up of 9 events. So you have 6 events that are for distance. You've got 2 height events, and then you've got 1 for accuracy. So, yeah. So you have weight for distance. You have a light and a heavy, and then you have
Okay, so what is that? So weight, what do you mean when you say weight for distance? Like you,
it's a weight on a chain. It's like
Okay.
if you took a kettlebell and detached the handle and added links.
did I see
So-
you throw in one of those things on your Facebook, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
She hit a height PR or a weight PR.
It was the weight over bar, so it was a height, and it was a PR. 12 foot was my
Okay,
PR.
so every event is with one of those things?
The weight for distance and the weight over bar for height is.
Okay.
And then you have your hammers, which is like a PVC pipe with a weight on the end of it, and you have a heavy and you have a light. And then you have 2 different stone events, which is a heavy and a light, which is called an open stone and a Braemar.
Awesome.
And then you have
Wow.
the sheaf, which the weight over bar is one height event, and then you have the sheaf toss, which is your another height event, and that's like the makeshift hay bale, and you throw it with the pitchfork.
Oh, okay.
Oh
That
my
just
God.
sounds
Over
like
the
so
bar.
much fun.
This is so legit.
It is
Yeah.
it is fun, and then you have the caber toss, which is the telephone looking pole thing.
Yeah, I know what that is. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I know that you said so far.
Yeah.
Now, is the goal of the caber toss? That's not distance.
No,
Are you
it's
trying to make
accuracy.
it do a 12, like
12 o'clock.
make it land
Yeah.
directly
You
in
want
front
it.
of you?
You want it to flip and land. 12 is a perfect score.
And that's how you're judged. There's no distance or height involved there.
No, but if you don't flip it, then they can judge on the degrees. So you can have a judge behind you and a side judge, and the side judge would look at where it falls, how it lands.
So really, it's just a good excuse to throw stuff and say the F word.
And where is this at?
This weekend it's at the Hermitage.
Oh, okay. And
Nashville.
Nashville.
You remember I was I
well,
tried to talk y'all
hold
into
on,
doing
hold on.
it.
I'm so smart and perceptive that I just now realized that this is the thing Wilson was trying to get us to go do
Yes.
because I saw the skirt
it's a kilt.
and you have to wear the kilt, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So this weekend was already full, and the men's events, the men's spots. But there, I was trying to get you guys to go, and then whenever I found out it was full, I let Wilson know, and then you guys all made other plans. So
But I had some clout. We were going in a pretty positive direction, don't you think?
yeah,
I mean, I think that
think so.
I had y'all.
there was still some
Almost
events
possible.
open in
There's
the
no chance
women's
that
though.
we're going to do this
Oh,
now, right?
okay.
There's no
But-
chance.
Yeah, we were totally in.
Yeah. Well, there's always next year.
Well, I had to
And
ask a question. How heavy is the hay bale that you pitch?
10 pounds.
Okay.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
you just
so
stick
one
a
of-
fork in it and toss it.
One of our gym members lives on a farm, has to do stuff like that. So I'm sure she's curious just for that reason as how heavy the hay bale is.
Yeah. 10
People from
pounds.
all over the world come and do this.
Oh yeah. I mean, people all over the U.S. or at least this area will come to this. I mean, there's games all over every single weekend. I think. I mean, in Florida, California, they're all year long. In the Midwest, it's usually in the warmer months, and so yeah, that's kind of the season. And then I think in Scotland, it's like all year long. And
Of course,
But-
it is.
Is that something you'd like to do? Is go to Scotland and do one over there or anything?
I would love to, but yeah, I'm just okay. I don't want to make a fool out of myself.
Is there some monster dudes out there?
Well, did you see the guy on
I
left?
saw.
Yeah,
I saw the dude
yeah,
you
we
brought
saw
with
your
you.
entourage.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the first time I've
And-
ever walked in the studio and actually been intimidated. Like, I was like, who are these goons and why? What did Wilson do and who does he owe money to?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Crystal brought a security team. That
Yeah, for sure.
there's a good 16 feet between the two of them.
They would actually probably dwarf me in the Photoshop picture.
Yeah, that's how they look at around most normal
I
people.
was scared to walk around the building and go to the bathroom before I came in because that's normal. My normal routine is to get out of the car and go around the building and then go back in. I was like, hello. I'll just go right in.
And one of your husband's not competing,
No,
but what's the other gentleman's name?
we call him Ox,
Right. What's his name?
Of course you do.
Jason Oxendine.
Which that's what I was getting at. You told me his name, and she was like, "That's Jason Oxendine. We call him," and I was like, "Ox."
Yeah.
What
Ox.
a perfect name
Yeah.
That is
for
a
a
perfect
large
name.
individual. Wouldn't be so good if you're like 5'9".
You wouldn't call me Ox.
We have other choice names for you,
The
Vaughn.
Reverend. the preacher.
Guess
Yeah.
what?
What?
The hour's up.
No,
We're out of time. It goes by fast, doesn't it?
it does.
But it's fun, right?
It's so fun.
And we made it through.
Yeah.
This has been so good.
Wow.
And we'll make sure to plug an update next week's show.
Yeah,
Yes,
I have to
you
find
know,
out how you
you-
did.
She's gonna win it, and they're gonna invite her to
next
Scotland
level.
to do it.
Right?
That's right.
Can we look at the results or something? Like, what's the website of the? Is it like HighlandGames.com?
She could probably post them in the community for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For sure, do
I
that.
could do that.
For sure.
You need to win, and then you need to frame your kilt and send it to us, and we'll put it here. And
Yeah.
so that way we have shoes.
And just make sure
we
you're
have a
wearing an
kilt.
LA Charles
Yeah.
shirt when you're on the podium.
Would you like to wear those while you compete?
That would be a thing. Those are
I can do
Scottish.
my little hill clicks in them. But yeah, I'm coming off this surgery, so I don't know how well I'm going to do, but I'm still going to throw.
All right. That's exciting. There was something else that I had to ask about, and I can't remember what it was. So we're just going to sit through this awkward silence. until I remember
We'll just
what
cut
it
out
is.
the awkward side. There's
You
no
can
awkward
definitely
silence.
cut it out.
5 a.m. CrossFit tomorrow.
I'm there.
You are there.
Oh, I need a ride. You want to pick me up?
Oh, that's right. I forgot
I'll
you
be
said
coming
that.
in
and you
from
committed.
downtown, so
I
can do
did
it.
commit already to be
Were you-
there.
were you-
That's Western.
I told the crew I would go skate in the morning, so I'm gonna I have to back out of that.
Sorry, crew.
I already said I would be. I forgot. Totally forgot I was gonna be there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Put it on your calendar.
Swanson.
It's a party.
Picking her up.
Yes. So good. What about breakfast?
Yes.
Yeah, we're supposed to go to. We're supposed to do that.
We're all
whole
in,
nine
man.
yards. Yeah.
I gotta go to work.
And we're going to
forgot about
Graceland, and we're spending the day.
I can't do the day, man. I gotta be at work at 8:30.
We're
So.
going to Bass Pro Shop and everywhere.
But yeah, I'm totally down for working out in the morning, and
Straight to breakfast.
If anybody's listening and wants to meet us
we're
at
gonna
5
have
a.m.
to.
Yeah.
5 a.m.
Ball Rolls
CrossFit.
CrossFit.
I didn't like the workout I looked at earlier, so we
Let me
might
know how that works out for you.
Handstand push-ups and burpees,
Then
and
we'll change it. Do something else.
7 minutes of burpees. No, we need to figure something else.
we need
out.
to scale it for my wrist. I'm coming in
Yeah,
gimp.
Yep. All right, good. We'll handle that. No problem. Lift heavy, run long. Number 113 is in the books.
Boom.
I'm